So the next section we're going to go through will be mobile. So we'll talk about the latest stats in mobile, and this is where the most changes have happened recently. There's been a major announcement by Google that there's a huge change to hit in April. So we're going to go through that. We're also going to go through social media after a quick break, after the mobile section.
Okay, so next section is on mobile, as Christina mentioned. Something that you may not be aware of is there's currently 5 times as many mobile phones in the world as there are PCs, and that looks to keep growing. This is just a bit of a gag we did in the office. I don't know if any of you have seen much about the new Apple iWatch, but about the Apple Watch, sorry. But yeah, just a bit of a...
There's that model at the front there, thanks Jay.
Alright, so some of the top 3 things to watch in 2015. Connected life platforms are emerging. So it's not just, in terms of search, in terms of the web, it's not just a PC anymore. We've got wearables, we've got mobiles, we've got internet-ready devices in our homes, TVs, air conditioning controllers. I think there's even like a reticulation controller you can get now, which is internet-enabled. It's becoming a bigger picture than that, and the effect it's having on search is quite dramatic. Mobile is really shaping the way people interact, and then that's what I said earlier about the traffic updates in Google. Everyone with a smartphone has that phone on them all the time. So they're more likely to pick it up, search things, ask questions, do that sort of stuff. And the speed of life is just getting faster and faster. Information is just right at our fingertips. And that only looks to be getting more and more the case. Now, just a few slides on some stats. This is just some recent stuff from Google. So what Christina was saying about this announcement in April, Google has basically been doing a lot of research for a while, and they've got to a point and realised, and officially said, yes, mobile sites do really matter. So if your website isn't mobile friendly, isn't responsive, you don't have a separate mobile site, it's going to start affecting things. 53% of users said that mobile friendly sites are important to them. 96% have visited a site that isn't mobile friendly, and 86% of users prefer to visit a mobile friendly site. There's nothing worse than when you go to a site on your phone and you feel it's really, really hard to read, or it doesn't work properly, it doesn't display. And that's kind of what Google's saying in these results. 3/4 of mobile users are more likely to revisit mobile-friendly websites. Um, 68% of those users visit the site through a search engine. And if they don't like what they find, they're up to 3 times more likely to abandon it completely. And 75% of searchers say they're likely to go back and search somewhere else where if they don't, if they get frustrated by their experience or they're not properly engaged by their mobile site. Mobile-friendly sites mean more customers and longer visits. So in terms of e-commerce, mobile-friendly e-commerce sites, 65% more likely to buy. There's a number of studies that say that conversion rates on mobile, if the site's designed well, can be significantly higher because they're designed with big buttons and clearer call to actions and really customised for that user experience. This may be obvious that mobile users are turned off by mobile unfriendly websites. So
the level of frustration is much higher on mobiles compared to PCs. So if you have a terrible website on a PC, you're more likely to persist with it, but on a mobile device, you just aren't. You just move straight onto the competitor.
Exactly right. And that relates back to the speed of things. I mean, on mobile, you're more likely to need quick information instantly. If it takes too long to load, if it's broken, if it's too hard, you just go somewhere else. And more than half of users agreed with these statements that if they really like a brand or a company, they're disappointed if the mobile site is a bad experience. I mean, I've done that as well. If I've gone somewhere and I've gone, wow, this is a terrible mobile website, or it's not responsive. And 53% said that a frustrating mobile experience can actually hurt their overall opinion of the brand. So, in a nutshell, it's better to be mobile friendly. That's what Google has concluded. A good mobile experience pays off in a number of ways, and likewise, a bad mobile experience can hurt. Mobile users told us, fast and easy please. So this is directly from Google again. Mobile users want big buttons, simple input boxes, limited pinching, quick access to business information like directions and contact numbers. So the type of information that people are searching for on mobile is usually a lot different to what they're doing on a desktop. The situation is different. There's a study I was reading on RAC, and I think it might have been in America, but their mobile site's geared specifically towards emergency breakdown services because they figure if someone's on their mobile, they're likely to be stranded somewhere, need quick contact information, need to know what to do in an emergency. The desktop site's completely different. So, and any supplementary informational functions need to be easily digestible or immediately useful. So keep it simple, keep it to the point, and keep it focused.
Mark, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Are these stats demographic specific so that they take users of all age groups into account, or is it just called users?
This is a big survey.
Australia,
Yeah.
Australia
Is it?
was mixed up with demographics. So the actual survey, there's a link at the beginning of it. You can access that through Google Think, through their website.
Was it Australia specifically? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Some other conclusions from this: the reliability and size of text is essential for a mobile website. And as I mentioned, users do notice if a site takes too long to load, they'll just click somewhere else. In terms of the type of information, the study found that smartphones, users are typically looking for quick answers, quick information, but for intensive research they are still using desktops, computers more regularly, which makes sense, and online transactions overall. Local users who are they like to be quickly introduced to a brand and engage further through social networking, social media, or through apps. So a good mobile experience engages your users better at an earlier point and can lead to other areas. And most of all, a mobile site for a local vertical should provide contact information and, well, they say an app download, but yeah, I mean, if you have a relevant app to download that's useful, then definitely. But once again, it's the purpose of the user. So contacting is usually the key function on a mobile site. We'll talk a bit about the difference between an app and a mobile site, but I think that comes a bit later in the presentation. Yeah. So there's just some general stats about what's pretty much some of what we sort of run through. And again, sort of saying if the information isn't available, you can create an unique brand experience, especially on smartphones. This is all in your pack, so sort of. Australians want to call a business directly from search. So this is something that it now appears in search results. You've probably all done it, where you search for a business. It comes up straight away with the phone number. You don't even make it to the website. So Google's aware of the user intent on these things, and the way users are interacting, and is trying to make it even easier for people to do that. They actually, yeah, sure.
Can I ask a question about that? I work for a local government, and we've had an issue recently with that. Google have picked up a phone number from within a page on our website that wasn't our main switchboard number. And they were advertising that, so we were number one on the search index, but it was actually advertising our media office's phone number as the main council number. But it took us 3 days to get through to Google to get them to change it. But where are they indexing that from? Is that one of those, because it wasn't the highest ranking page within our website?
We had the same problem with as a doctor. Basically, they had, for some reason, put the personal number of the doctor, the mobile number of the doctor, as the first point of call.
So I mean, really the best thing to avoid that is to take ownership, because it's through your Google Plus page, so taking ownership of the page is the best way around that, and actually telling Google what information you want in there. I mean, that's an unfortunate case of where Google's done it. I had a client example where they moved address, and because there was so much information on the internet still with the old address, like white pages, things like that, Google basically said, no, you're wrong, this is actually the correct address based on our index. So it does happen, but yeah, the best thing is to take ownership of your Google Places page if you haven't already done it, and just try and ensure that information that is out there on other portal sites and local listings is up to date. So sometimes Google does get it wrong, they're not perfect.
They couldn't find where they got that number from, because it wasn't on Google Plus, it was nowhere.
Yeah.
On one page inside the website.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they do get it wrong. They're not perfect. I mean, they get something like 1 million requests a week to change details or take things down from the web that's wrong. But I mean, as they're indexing like almost 1 trillion websites now, I think it's just one of those things.
3 days is pretty good though.
Yeah.
We've waited 2 weeks for an address to be updated for a client.
Yeah. You're lucky you got a response actually. Yeah.
Maybe because it's your government, it helped.
Yeah. But it is a good point though, because it pays to be aware of this sort of thing that's going on, because if you've got all your clients that are clicking on the wrong phone number or doing something based on information that's incorrect. I mean, I've looked up businesses and the Places listing says it's closed at that time or it's open, and I'll sometimes take that as as fact, unless I sort of think, oh wait a minute, it should be open now. Why is that saying that? So.
They just realised no one was clicking on our website to get our contact number. They were just using Google.
Yeah, so many people are doing it. And they're actually trialling it briefly in the US. They're actually introducing chat into search results, not officially, but they've so you can actually start a hangout with your client from Google search pages before they reach your website. So that was just something that sort of leaked out a few weeks back, but yeah. They're just trying to make it easier for people, but they don't always get it right. Not having a call button in search results can have a negative impact on your brand. So, yeah, having that information updated is
not only that as well, but actually click to call. Like the amount of mobile sites I've gone through, and you've got to click to call that doesn't work. You have to remember the number and then type it in your phone, so that can also affect your conversion through mobile.
Yeah, and that's actually interesting because it leads to our responsive versus mobile discussion. That a mobile site, if it's done really badly, can actually be quite a negative thing as well. So it's something to be careful of. Fast and easy wins the race, no users agree. Yeah, it's pretty much what we've covered. The mobile users are on the move and ready to take action, which makes sense because mobile is mobile. And the stats seem to support that. Just a bit more information, just FYI, so which devices are most popular. You can see it's broken down to PC and laptop, smartphone, tablet, games console, smart TV, smart watch, and that changes all the time. As far as Google Analytics, we can actually even see what type of device people are searching on, so whether it's an iPhone 4, an iPhone 5, particular model of Samsung Galaxy, we can actually see that sort of data too. So yeah, there's a lot of information out there to consider. And then you can see on the right-hand side there, it's got a bit of a summary of conversion rates by device type. This is overall, and obviously it can change from industry to industry. So it's just interesting to see the difference from devices, from a device point of view. I was just seeing smart TV was in there, but it's not. Kindle is. Thanks.
All right, so what I'm going to go through now is sort of the different types of mobile presence you can have. So obviously we've got mobile sites, and some people confuse that with responsive. They don't really know what the difference is, so I'll definitely go through that and also what the difference is with an app. So a mobile site generally is a separate mobile site. So it's a separate website, if you will, that shows up automatically on mobile devices. Generally it has an M dot and then your domain name after it. There is arguments either way as to which one's better, but from our experience it depends on the particular company, industry and what you're trying to achieve. The other thing that there is a responsive website. So it's basically you have one big website that resizes for different devices. And we'll go through sort of the pros and cons of that. And then the third thing is you have mobile apps, which need to be downloaded from Google Play or iTunes. So what you need to consider is what sort of experience you want to have across all devices. So if you want this one single experience, that will be a responsive, because it'll basically be the same website, resizes for every device, one experience. If, however, like Mark mentioned earlier, you say you want a separate experience for those people that are on the roads and they get this emergency sort of focused website, that would be a separate mobile website, because you can tailor it to the actual needs of the user when they're out on the go. So you can have different content, different look and feel, different design, different elements to the site. So that's the two different areas. Now, unless all those websites that you look at on your phone that are kind of small and you have to pinch and drag, that's not been optimized for mobile. So that's not a mobile site and it's not responsive. So what is responsive design? So it really started emerging in 2012. So basically what it is, like we said, is you have the one website and it's smart enough to know different screen resolutions and it resizes. Doesn't always get it right and it's not always perfect and it has a lot of downfalls as well as benefits. The reason there are issues is because there's a lot of screen resolutions and they keep growing. So you have, the iPhone 6, iPhone 5, all these different resolutions, different tablet sizes, different PC sizes, different laptops. So in a nutshell, what's the benefits and what are the pitfalls of responsive design? So with responsive design, the benefit would be is that you have a consistent experience across all platforms, which is not always a good thing if you need to show something different in the mobile sphere. It can mean potentially slower downloads. If you have this massive whopping website that's resizing all the time, it can cause issues. Plus, if you have lots of content on it, you end up scrolling for ages through the mobile version of it. It reduces updates across separate sites. So if you have one big site and you do updates to it, then obviously it's rolled out everywhere. Whereas if you have a separate mobile site, you'll need to make separate changes to that, which again could be a good thing if you have different needs for mobile users because they would have their own updates. The other, benefits of responsive design would be a single code base. It reduces maintenance and update cycles. But then you've got the inability to customise the website for mobile search. So there is an emergence of mobile search, which is what we're going to talk about shortly regarding the April 21st update. What it means is that users on phones may be searching for a different keyword. So like I said, it might be emergency breakdown search. That might be what they're Googling. If you're a mechanic, it might be what they're Googling on a mobile phone or a smartphone. But if they're on a PC, they're Googling maintenance or services. So there's different sets of keywords. If you have a separate mobile site, it means you can optimise that for separate keywords. So that's sort of the emergence of mobile optimisation, which we're excited about. Can be painful and costly as well. So, what you want to ask yourself, do I need a responsive website? You want to ask yourself a few questions. Do you actually need it? Does your website need it? Would you be better off optimising select parts of your website? Do your users need to have all of that information available when they're on the go? Or are there specific sections and you're better off tailoring a solution for mobile? Do you have the budget? If you have a whopping website and you've got a lot of custom design, a lot of moving elements, it can be really costly to make that responsive. You actually may be better off having a separate mobile site with a lot less content, a lot smaller, so it's cheaper. Are you okay with the design limitations? What you're going to keep in mind is when people are on a PC, they're using a mouse. When they're using a mobile device, they're using their fingers. So you're going to have some design elements that won't work on both. So you may not be able to do that really cool animation, or you might not be able to have a certain user flow because it won't work for a mobile device. So that's where responsive won't work for you. And will you maximise the opportunity? So whatever opportunity you go for, whether it be a separate mobile site or responsive, will it actually be useful for you and for your business needs? And that's something definitely to assess when considering your options. So this is an example of a responsive website in the UK that costs £60 million to produce. So if you want to see a £60 million website, that's that one there. And the reason it was so costly is because, like I mentioned, it's a huge, huge website. A lot of resizing had to happen, a lot of different designs. Because if you make a website responsive, you basically have to design the same page for so many different resolutions. So that's why it's quite costly. This is a responsive design we did for a jewellery company. They do women's watches. It may be quite useful for bars. It might be useful for particular purposes where it's basically a smaller site that's resizing. If it's anything too huge, then maybe responsive is not the best option, depending on the scenario. So typically, like for example, a restaurant website, you're going to want to see most of the things that you'll see on a PC because you may be on the run, but you want to see menus, you want to see how to book, all those sort of things. So sometimes responsive works quite well for restaurants too. This is an example that you're familiar with, Lisa. So the Government Communications Australia website, we sponsored their event. They wanted all the information to be available on mobile devices as well. So this is a responsive website that resizes. So no matter where you are, you can look at the conference, you can book, etc. This is a theme design for a company that does flooring. So again, this is a responsive design. You can see that how it looks on a PC, and then it resizes and basically squishes together on a mobile device quite well. Another example. So moving on, the advantages of a mobile site is that you have separate targeted design for mobile users. Eventually you can target mobile search for different keywords. An application is separate to mobile and responsive. An application is something that has to be downloaded. So generally with an app, you want to create something that's different, like a calculator or just something cool that people are actually going to use. Otherwise there's no point creating an app. I just want to ask, how many people here have a mobile or a responsive site? Yeah, you do. How many have an app? Yeah, so a lot less businesses really have an app unless they have a specific purpose for it. So I've just got a few examples that you can look through in your own time. Carpet Call was an example of a company that decided to have a separate mobile site because they decided that users didn't want to see the whole carpet range on their phone. They wanted to have the ability to just find the local store and contact them. Carpet Call has released an app, so we'll go through that as well. This company here couldn't decide between an app and a mobile site. It's kind of like an app, this mobile site that we built for them. But the reason it was done this way is because it works quite well as a mobile site and it's got functionality in it. So what I mean by it's like an app, it has calculators in there, we can work out sort of tax benefits and different things like that, and there is a login associated. So this is a really good example of something that kind of merged between app and mobile site. And that's for the insurance industry. Here's a few examples of mobile websites, so separate mobile websites. There you go, Hallmore. Now, moving into applications, I just want to give you a quick example of an app. So one of our clients came to us and said, look, we do fertiliser, we go out in the field, our guys need to work out the calculation of nitrogen and fertiliser, so we need some sort of app to do that because currently we're doing it in Excel spreadsheets. It's a bit hard to have a laptop out there. So we built an app that they can do that, and they also have their footy tipping in there. So that's sort of an example of an app that was useful for that purpose. Ryder Levitt Buffalo, we built an app for them. Basically, you can work out what it's going to cost to build on a plot of land. So it's a full construction calculator, so that was quite useful for them. In terms of branding, this was very effective because they were actually able to charge something for it. They released the initial app for free, and everyone loved it, and they got a lot of buy-in, so then they actually sold the app. And this is one example where we've built an app for every platform. The other issue that you have with apps is you can't just build it and hope it works on all devices. You actually have to build a separate one for every different device. So we built one for iPhones, for Androids, for Windows phones, and for Blackberries. This is a cool app. This is the Farm Pride app. You work out whether you want a hard-boiled, soft-boiled, medium-boiled egg. It's a little timer. And the reason this one was good, it didn't cost them very much, but in terms of branding and awareness, it was massive for them. So they actually got an article in The Age. You know, people are quite fickle when it comes to choosing eggs often. So by using the Farm Pride app, they're getting that Farm Pride branding in their head. So hopefully you think when they go to the shops, Farm Pride sticks in mind. We've actually just launched a new app. It's Digital Anniversaries. So if you want to know how old someone is in seconds and milliseconds, there's an app for that. So something of interest. Now I want to get into augmented reality. Has anyone heard of augmented reality? Okay, cool. Most people have. You may or may not have seen the IKEA video. I don't know whether we have time to play it. Let's play it. Okay. So basically IKEA has brought out their catalogue so that you can interact with their catalogue at home. Because a lot of people are returning furniture, it doesn't look good, that rug doesn't look good in my lounge, whatever. This is a way for them to be able to test out what the furniture looks like in their house before going home. Has anyone got the IKEA app? Okay. I've used something similar called SnapDen, where you can actually put like a couch in your room and see what that sort of couch will look like. It's quite useful. People are using that more and more in the sort of selling and buying process. Another example, I mentioned Carpet Core earlier, and there's also another company that we're working with augmented reality. So Amplimesh, they basically do doors, screens, windows, that sort of thing. If you want to see what, say, a bifold door will look like in your house, there's an augmented reality app for that, which we've built for Amplimesh. So basically how you do, you start off with a picture, or you can actually use one of their stock images if you just want to see it generally. But you take a picture of your house, you work out what door you want, and then you can chuck in the door, and it even has animation, it opens and has sounds and everything. So it's a very interesting way of getting people to interact on another level with your brand. It doesn't have to be retail. I'm sure there's other ways to make it work. And then also what that does is it emails the quotes to them. Now with Carpet Call, again, they wanted to be a little bit more interactive with their audience, and they often have people, buying rugs and wanting to know what it's going to look like in their house. So now you can basically take a picture of your house, chuck in the rug and see what it's going to look like before you buy it and take it home. So that's another example of augmented reality with Carpet Call. I'm not sure that it's been released just yet. It's fairly new. Cool.
Okay, so what does this mean in terms of Google? Well, there are three typical configurations you can go for, which Christine's mentioned. You can have a separate mobile site, you can have a responsive site, or there's a server-side one, which is a little bit more complicated. But in a nutshell, I think we've covered it pretty well, actually, the advantages and disadvantages of both. So, survey we went through earlier in this presentation, but it's basically raised a whole lot of new questions in terms of how Google's going to treat this for search. And for a while, similar results have come up regardless of what device you're searching for. But one of the things that has been happening recently, and is going to happen even more so on the 21st of April, is that there's going to be some implications of not having a mobile-friendly website. And could actually affect your rankings in Google.
We've seen it actually with our main Extra website. We were optimised for online marketing. And so when you Googled online marketing, we always came up number one, and our mobile site was coming up. And now we found that if you're Googling online marketing, our main site will come up and our mobile site won't show. So we're actually having to optimise the mobile site separately to the main website to get it ranking in Google search. So we've actually personally seen massive changes to the way that mobile search has worked. And we're seeing that with our clients as well. And there's a change coming out soon.
Yeah. And Google have said that they're working on a dedicated mobile index, but hasn't been completed yet. Just some of the changes that led up to this was that late last year in Google Webmaster Tools, errors started coming up if certain aspects of your site weren't mobile. So if you were using Flash technology that was old and out of date, didn't show properly, if the text was too small, if it took too long to load, things like that, all started creating errors in Google Webmaster Tools.
This is actually an email I received from my old business website. So I just left it running, I didn't bother updating it or anything, and they actually sent me an email saying you have this many errors with your site, these are the pages that have errors in mobile search.
Yep.
So I thought that was quite interesting, so I threw it in there.
Okay. You probably noticed in Google search results now it comes up saying mobile friendly sometimes when you do a search. That's all linked to the same algorithm update. April 21. Google haven't said exactly what's going to happen yet, apart from stating that there will be a significant change for mobile searches in all languages worldwide and will have a significant impact in our search results. That's the only official statement they've released. But in terms of all the other signals that have been picked up and all the other things they've been doing, it seems to be leaning towards this. Google recommend responsive design at the very least. If you can't, if you don't have specific intent for a mobile site, or if you just to at least pass the general compatibility test. And then just a few key points. This is from a recent statement in Google, so may not mean much to some people, but Googlebot must be allowed to crawl the JavaScript to pass the mobile friendly test. This is determined page level, not the whole, not site wide. Tablets are not affected by this, and this is a question we get asked quite a bit. Basically, I think it's anything over 7 inches is classed as a tablet, and the way we actually design our mobile sites and desktop sites is that it's anything under that gets the mobile website comes up. So if you're on a device that size, you get shown the mobile site. Anything bigger, you get the desktop site. Basically, that means. And we've gone through a lot of those conclusions in the earlier stats. So. Some insider tips. So, tips on mobile. So, really, first of all, decide on the purpose of what you're trying to achieve. Identify the needs of your users and make the decision on what's going to best suit them, whether it's a responsive design, a mobile site, or in some cases, a dedicated mobile app. If you are doing a separate mobile site, you have to be careful with the way that mobile search engines are indexing duplicate content. It needs to be done, set up in the right way, or you can actually get a penalty there. And duplicate content is something we touched on a little bit earlier, but it's actually one of the Penguin updates have been mostly focused around duplicate content and penalising users for that.
So you don't want to have the same sort of text or same paragraphs repeated anywhere in your website or even on your mobile site so much.
Yeah, they're treating it like a whole separate site, so which is one of the advantages of responsive. You don't need to worry about duplicate content. If you're doing it, do it properly. As I mentioned before, like a bad mobile solution can be almost as damaging or more damaging than no solution at all. And then, as Christina mentioned, whether a responsive or a separate mobile site, it does depend on your business and your users and what's going to suit you. Any questions on that? Yes?
So if you have a mobile site, you mentioned duplicate content, so would you say having a mobile site is more SEO intensive? It's going to be more, you have to create more content, it's going to need more work than just having a responsive.
It will.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things with a separate mobile site. It requires its own maintenance, its own updates. Like if you change a phone number even on the main site, you've got to then change it on the mobile site. So yeah, there's generally a bit more maintenance involved with it.
But the benefit is different keywords because you can focus different content on the mobile for people who are searching different keywords.
Yeah.
So what happens if you optimize your mobile for some keywords that you realize you want to use on your main site?
You'd have different content. So our copywriters would write. We have copywriters that have to write websites and micro websites which have similar content. You just rewrite it in a different way. You focus on slightly different keywords. Yeah, there's different ways around it.
Now, what I mean, sorry, you optimize your mobile for a keyword that you found it really successful, and you want that keyword not to be ranking as well on someone that is looking for that keyword on the desktop. What would you do?
You could optimize for the same keyword, or it could be a different keyword.
Slightly different content.
Yeah, the content would be different, but yeah, you could optimize for the same keyword. And in terms of search volume, so the people actually searching for keywords, there's always a bit of difference between mobile and desktop. Some cases it's very similar, some cases there's a big difference and a big swing either way. So it might be just worth thinking of your overall strategy as well, and whether you can sort of do a bit from your desktop side, a bit from your mobile side, and cover both. So
we actually do. We can actually do keyword ranking search to see what sort of keywords are targeted, the search volumes for different platforms. So even the different variation, it might just having an S on the end might be completely different for mobile and desktop. So there's different considerations.
And as I mentioned before, things like conversational search affects mobile a lot more than desktop. So people saying things like where's the nearest dentist to me, or something like that. No one would ever really, actually maybe that's a bad example, but like there's certain phrases that people would be much more likely to use on a mobile than a desktop. So yeah.
Cool.
Anyone else? Is there someone else at the back? Or, no? Okay.